Oh, it's so fun.
Still one of the back.
We can get hotel. In our vision. And I pray that we would do it well. Great responsibility and commitment to the task that is in front of us, and that we would do it for the good of these families and ultimately the glory of God. Thank you for meeting tonight.
That's my partner in crime. January 16th is SCAPC. Winthrop is January 21st. USC, February 4th. We've already gone to Clemson, you Clemson fans. We've already gone to Pray. We've already gone to Clemson. We'll be going to USC February 4th. Shelley's a Clemson fan. She's half divided. And then College of Charleston will be our last stop, February 26th.
And College of Charleston is also
Yes,
Citadel.
Citadel and Charleston Southern, yeah. We hit 3 schools and 1 at College of Charleston. We love it. Thank you. That's all I have for you tonight.
Thank you, Sandy.
Yes, sir.
I'll try to be as peppy as you were for the rest of the day.
I love it. Can't you tell?
All right, next slide. For those of you who didn't get a chance, this was just some snapshots of the play Clue. How many of you seen it? Anybody on the board see it? Yeah, it was fantastic. They did a great job. The next slide is from the Veterans Day program. How many of you saw the Veterans Day program? It was fantastic. Our kids did everything, and our music teacher, Miss Ventura, she just got married. I didn't pronounce her name wrong, did I?
Nope.
She got married right before the year started. She put all the content together, and it was fantastic. It was probably the best thing I've ever seen in elementary school.
It's really good.
I mean, you people have seen it. You both have kids that.
It was very well done.
It was fantastic. So kudos to our staff for all their hard work and the wonderful things that our kids are doing. Now moving along, Shelley, I think you're up.
Okay, well, this is long-awaited report card info. Usually it's a lot earlier in the school year when we get to release the report card results to you guys, but they had it embargoed a little bit longer than usual this year. And I think that was because once they released the information on the schools started checking over their data, they found some mistakes on the state level. I believe we were impacted with some of those mistakes. Anyway, so they had to wrote back in, fix everything, and now they're finally released. So it's not embargoed anymore. And so we're starting with Cowboy County Elementary School. They received overall rating of average, 49, which was up from their previous year. Last year, they went from 46 to 49. Still in the average range, not far to go to get to good, but you can see that they're progressing there. And I would like to point out the multilingual learners progress below average. Our MLL group is a very small population. So we don't have a subgroup technically of those, but so when you have such a small group, you have 1 or 2 that maybe don't do well, it brings that down for everybody. So that would explain that. So
Great. What was our score 6 or 7 years ago when you came in as an elementary principal? 22, 23?
The overall rating was unsatisfactory, and we were the lowest 10% of the state. I think it was high 20s is the report card score.
Is it like a percentile grade compared to other schools or just a standard?
Yes, it is. It's, yeah, they reevaluate it every few years, but
there's a great big accountability manual.
they
that's like
look at all the schools and basically curve it to figure out
It's a
where
moving
it should
scale.
fall. Yes,
It moves, it's a moving scale.
It's a moving scale. It is different for, to get good in elementary is a different point value than to get good for middle school and high school. It is a wonderfully confusing scale for parents and
Sounds like
even educators to interpret.
Yes.
But it's on a curve somehow.
Yes.
And if we increase 3 points next year like we did this year, we will be good next year in elementary, which is amazing.
Is that where it is at 52?
52 is good.
For
So
elementary.
if we've been going up 3 or 4 points a year for the last 3 or 4 years. If we do that again next year, we will be good on our elementary report card. And that is quite a long way from where we started several years ago. And they just keep working hard at it, we keep plugging away at it, and it's getting better, and it's going to continue to get better.
So this is our results from SC Ready in the elementary on the ELA, SC Ready ELA, and SC Ready Math. And this is just showing you where HBA is performing in relation to the district, our public charter school district, and the state. And you can see we're for ELA, we're right about even with them. And then for math, we're a little bit higher than, much higher than the district, but a little bit higher than the state for those. So that's just our comparison between district and state in elementary. You can go to the next one. So this is our middle school report card, and we achieved a rating of average. And I had to put that in there. You see good is 48, and we were 47. So we are just 1 point away. And so we are going to definitely, we're going to be striving to get back up to that good next year.
And I want to say something here because there is a climate grade and we got like a 5 out of 10. And so Gray went in and looked at it and 26 students, 22 students, how many students rated our climate poorly because of problems on the bus?
Yeah, we had a large number of kids that said they were bullied on the bus to school,
We don't have
and we don't have buses.
Well,
Yeah.
we were too, but if that not been there, we'd probably had a 49.
The other thing that we learned when we had the,
We did that, okay.
yeah, the other thing that we learned is the way our climate survey works, because we have one beds code, we get one climate survey. So they base it off of, I guess, our 5th graders, our 8th graders, and our seniors contribute to the climate score, but that goes on the elementary report card and the middle and the high school. So you have high school influencing middle, elementary, and vice versa.
a lot of those little things.
One building, that's,
We have one
Yes,
beds code.
in Power School, we have one, what they call beds code, which just means we are one location. So even though we get 3 different report cards, the climate score is still the same across the board.
So Gray has promised he'll clean up the problems on the buses. And I feel good he'll do it.
But that's just one example of how, because of, they can be skewed because of all these factors and that moving scale that can influence that. But if you go to the next slide, I'll show you that.
Before you do that, can I ask a question? What is the 4 things on the side? Is that how we come to the score?
Mhm. Okay, so
So what are
academic
they?
achievement is going to be like your English and math.
It's your raw
Mhm.
percentage score of meets exceeds.
And then we talked about the multi-language learners, that's the ML population. Student progress, oh gosh, I'm like.
Student progress is how much they grow, and
Is that
they made it even more complicated. So there's an
Attracts.
MAT, which is a median, the median add-on target, which is essentially they've done this enough that they can say the average kid grows this amount every year. And then there's so if a student makes that amount of growth, you get a certain amount of points. There's also an added value target, which is if the student is already behind, essentially how much extra they have to grow to get caught up.
They're just comparing it from the previous years.
But the
Yeah.
growth is still based on the SC Ready growth.
Yeah,
And then
it is
preparing
like
for
an SC rate.
success is science. And so,
Just 6th grade science.
just
for
6th
those.
grade science, SC Ready.
Why is that unsatisfactory?
I think
Is
part
that
of it,
is that the lowest? I assume unsatisfactory is below average.
yeah, it is the lowest. Now, it's also the smallest part of the report card. The 2 biggest pieces are academic achievement and student progress. I think you can get 70, it's like 35 and 35, and this is for middle and elementary. 70 of your 100 points can come from academic and student. So that's your lion's share right there. The climate that we were talking about is like 10 points. Actually, for us, academic achievement and student progress are a little bit more because we don't have that multilingual group. If we did, they would be 10 points, but because we don't have that, I think they add a little bit to academic and student. And then preparing for success is only 10 points. I think part of why that was lower and caught us off guard was the previous year, they changed the standards. So the kids took the test, but it didn't count on the report card, and they kind of put in a filler score. So it didn't really give us a true reading of what
Last
the
year.
kids had done, the previous year. So then they,
So, but this is a real reading?
yes, this is how the kids actually did. It was.
So do we need to grow in 6th grade science?
We do.
It sounds like.
We
And
do
Ms.
it.
Goodlet already has some
And the
plans for that.
scale and the standards are harder. So most people did poorly in science across the state in 6th grade. It was lower than it had been because the standards are more difficult.
But we're taking direct
Yes,
steps to
Yes.
address that.
that is being addressed,
Great,
yes.
awesome.
How does Project Lead the Way correlate with about 6th grade science? The
6th grade
standards?
science not as well because
They're
this,
based on this new standards that have just,
Yeah.
the new curriculum and everything that has come out, where Project Lead the Way has their own set of standards, it doesn't correlate nearly at all with any of what the testing is.
Yeah, in elementary, it overlaps a little better because elementary Project Lead the Way is more of a broad overview. The sixth grade Project Lead the Way course is computer science, so it's just doing the computer science standards, which doesn't really match the sixth grade science.
We have already taken steps, once we receive this information, where we are intently working with our sixth grade science teacher. We also, as a matter of fact, Dr. Cox is gonna be working pretty in depth with her on some things with her pacing. And then we also are purchasing some extra things to go along with her curriculum for her to be able to utilize and have some more hands-on opportunities with the students.
This is just testing sixth grade science?
I'm sorry, Jen, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
Just testing sixth grade
Yeah,
science?
Sixth grade,
only,
yes,
only
ma'am.
fourth grade and sixth grade take.
Yeah,
Is that what we're talking about too? Sixth grade science is all year still,
yes,
correct? And
ma'am,
this is the reason why?
That's
Yes.
Is that right?
it is.
Because of this.
Yeah, I just asked that because just to remind us, our vision statement is to be an exemplary school of choice for academically minded families. So I just want to keep the ball in front of us.
And STEAM.
And STEAM,
So we
and
would
STEAM.
expect Science should be
Yeah.
something.
Absolutely.
In that teacher's defense, she is teaching science.
And
not
I don't
a
even know
lab.
who we're talking about. I'm not trying to talk about a person. I'm talking about the scores.
Yeah, middle school science labs, just when we remodeled the building, they did not build science labs for middle school. They have one.
And we're
that is-
having
that is
to
also unique.
and we're
They
utilizing
work
that
around.
one room right now as a special education room also. So they aren't even able to rotate into it right now because of us just not having the space for it.
Okay.
So we're accommodating by doing some floating science lab things that they can all utilize across the 3 grade levels.
Sounds like something the facility committee should perhaps.
Yeah.
We
seek
have
to
some thoughts.
discuss.
It'll be expensive because you're running water and
Right.
gas.
Yeah.
So when we built that science lab, we built just one, and that really covered high school. So that-
Yeah, high school has 3, and there's one in the middle school area.
Oh, okay, so we have one, we just need more than one. Gotcha.
Go ahead, Shannon, I'm sorry.
All right, so for middle school, this was our SC Ready from the spring. You see ELA and math as we compare to our district and state. You can see HBA is right on, maybe a little bit above in ELA for comparison to the district and the state. And we're a little bit behind in math to the district and the state in the middle school, based off this past spring's SC Ready scores.
Another reason why we've added the math interventions.
Was that the same way last year? I feel like it was.
It was.
Yeah.
And actually, Spartanburg County has a strategic plan, and it goes in a lot of areas, but 3rd grade ELA is one of their focuses, making sure kids are reading on grade level by 3rd grade. And middle school math is another area of focus across the county, that it is just an area where students across, so that this is not a struggle that is unique to us.
Well, and I will say too, just going to, instructional leaders meetings at Scasland and Columbia and talking to other leaders around the state. Math is a major focus for our state department, for this year. They're starting, it's called the Palmetto Math Project. And so we're hoping, where the big focus over the past several years have been, literacy and reading, letters and all that reading interventionists came. Now they're trying to get something going to help the math side of that too. Where we're hoping that in the future, they will start maybe funding on a state level math interventionists for the schools, in addition to our reading coach.
That's what the superintendent mentioned at the district's leadership summit, isn't it?
Yes.
One of the other things too that we've been vehemently working on is, we actually have a member of the State Department coming into our building tomorrow that he and I are doing a huge case study. And one of the things that we're focusing on and that he's being able to relay back to the powers that be at the State Department
Yeah.
is how we need that extra supplementary part of the math program.
Right.
And we're focusing our homeroom classes right now on students that need acceleration and remediation. So those are 2 areas that we know are big hits for us right now.
What is the, so elementary, our math was higher than the average of middle school, it drops down. Where are we losing from the elementary to the middle school?
So based on the data that we've looked at, the trending part of it is some of it are students that are transferring in. It's not necessarily students that we've had since kindergarten. The other problem that we're having is a little bit of want to or have to kind of mentality of the students. And so we're trying to gear some of our focus on being able to promote parents and encourage them on how to support a student that's giving them resistance, that's going through puberty and facing life trials.
Do we have the data on students that have been at High Point through
Yes.
elementary versus transferred students, like for
We
middle
do.
school?
We do.
And you see that the ones that have been here are higher than the ones who, I mean,
That's correct. But realize
Across the board.
we're about a 63% poverty school. So
We
when we
also
get new kids in, there's a greater chance we're gonna get kids who are coming in poverty or behind than kids who are excelling.
And I will say with math, we've had a major shift in the curriculum and standards. New standards were implemented this school year. And then it also changed our trajectory of even how we offer high school classes. It's affected our geometry and algebra 1 offering and what order we offer it in. So we have really, really hunkered down and tried to pinpoint where that needs to be, where we need to be. A lot of the problem also is that we have students that are hovering right there at approaches where they could easily flip to meet by just, it's kind of like us being okay to good, you know, where we're 1 point away. We have students that are less than 5 points away being able to top that curve on it. So we're trying to focus in on what the skills are, because when we receive these tests, we compare them to our MAP scores as well. Our MAP scores give us the identity of, these are the areas the students are not grasping and where they need to be remediated or where they need to excel. And so we're able to break it down, and that's where our homeroom classes are playing into it right now, because they're able to focus on those individual skills to see where we need to be hitting those kids and being able to support them in ways that we traditionally have not been able to. So,
This year is our big sweeping changes in math, not just the standards, but that, you know, standards will push down to different grade levels, different course offerings. We have, you know, they changed that whole algebra, geometry, algebra 2 to now algebra 1, algebra 2, geometry. And not to mention, we even have, like, brand new courses that are in high schools now, just CP, not even, you know, advanced courses, but brand new courses. So this is gonna be a big impactful year across the state for all of our students, all public students in South Carolina.
the standards, we actually have a chart that we've been comparing and contrasting where the standards have changed, because we've also identified that there are some standards that we traditionally would not have taught until 8th grade, but they're now being taught in 7th grade, where those kids that are in 8th grade now have not gotten those concepts because it wasn't part of the standard before. So we've had to identify where the gaps are and where our students are missing that and how to be able to remediate them. And we're not talking about students that struggle in middle school math. We're talking about students that are on grade level that are just having to be told, hey, this is something if you were in 7th grade this year, this is what you would have learned. But we've had to put them in 8th grade because they're 8th graders and it's not something they learned in 7th grade. Some of them are grasping it and doing a great job, but some of them are really struggling with, I didn't have this in 7th grade and you're expecting me to already know how to do it.
So,
these are state decisions?
yes, and the state does this every 5 years.
Yeah.
Our education oversight.
So that's what's happening this year,
Yes, ma'am.
Standards changing.
that we will see.
Affect the state.
It'll affect them.
Oh, yeah, everybody scores.
Everybody in the state is affected.
Yeah, everybody in the state is
changing,
affected.
but we're
Every
All the
8th
time.
grade class is having the same problems Tammy's having. They have skills that they're expected to know that we're not taught in them last year.
I appreciate that, but we're falling
What Nicole is saying is
behind.
that means the state
Those were last
overall
year's
scores should be
Yeah.
coming down too.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah,
Okay.
not,
Hopefully, they don't come down the same as ours. Hopefully, ours will get better than the state's, but, you know, probably all scores will go down.
Are you gonna show us 3-year trends?
Well, not 3-year trends, I'm gonna show you the comparison next.
Well, just real quick, to go back to Sandy's report, so the middle school math teacher is retiring from the classroom, but is coming back in as an interventionist.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you've already got
I'm
Your middle school
a
math teacher
certified
back
math
in
teacher.
Okay.
we have extra money in the budget, we went ahead and used the math interventions to pull those kids out and work with them one-on-one, one-on-two.
For what you're dealing with now.
To help with that.
She'll be working with 6th through 8th grade. Right now, she's just not just a 6th grade math teacher, but she's a 6th grade math teacher, where this gives her the ability to be flexible and be able to pull students that we've identified with some challenges.
Okay, we'll go to the next one.
Can you back up one more time? I just want to say, in the kindest way possible, that we are for academically minded families. So even on the ELA side, I mean, average to me is not okay. Like, we want to excel so that our vision is correct, is true.
Compared to where we were.
That's what we are. We are by definition, our job is to educate.
5 years ago, we were much further along than we were, and we still got a long way to go.
I'm
We
not
got a long way to
criticizing,
go.
I'm just,
Oh, I agree.
we'll keep the goal.
I definitely agree with you. I think
If we don't have a goal, we'll meet it every time.
if in 3 years we're not further along, then we have a problem. We need to continue to grow. We have tremendous opportunities to grow.
What Ms. Goodlet said when I asked about the difference, the biggest, as my wife is a teacher and I hear it all the time, you're really at the mercy of the kids when it comes to the testing. If they don't feel like doing it that day,
Well,
Yeah, especially, I mean, with middle school, that was my time in the classroom, was middle school. And keeping them motivated to try their best on the test is very, it can be very challenging.
if their boyfriend breaks up with them, their girlfriend leaves them, somebody says something to them that morning, it can destroy the validity of the test for that individual student. Very
Well,
much.
another thing that we are really trying to focus in on, and Matt, you'll appreciate this, is that we're comparing what our scores are on all of these standardized testings versus what our students actually making in the class. Because we're wanting to make sure that our rigor in these classes, whether it's English, math, science, or social studies, is meeting what the rigor is on these tests. So we have been analyzing each one of our assessments. They've been having to bring assessments to data meetings. They've also been working independently on them because we don't want to be offering level 1 or 2 of Bloom's taxonomy. We want to be averaging about a level 3. So we're learning the verbs again of how to ask those questions, even in math. We're also talking very intently on if this is what you're teaching in class and this is what you're testing, then what direction are we going? What's your end result? What's your goal? And I will say that working with the coach that the 3 of us have been working on, one of the big things that we recognized is that we have a big deficit when it comes to engagement or being compliant. Students are being compliant. You walk into a classroom and they're following the rules of the classroom, but they're not engaged. So how are we going to grow that engagement and that rigor? And so those are all things that we're focusing on and trying to include folks and say, hey, we need your help to be able to do this. And then the next level is with the parent, because a lot of it is, we're raising a lot of kids.
Sure.
Ready? Okay.
Board, does the board have any more questions?
On to the next one, okay.
Good.
This is
Don't have the right to ask
on
anything.
trend, but this is a comparison, I've done this for the past several years, where you're looking at, this is for reading for grades 3 through 8, and you see this is 25% of students that meets or exceeds on SC Ready for reading. That's HPA in the first column there. And then you would see the other 7 districts of Spartanburg County and how they performed of their percentage meets or exceeds in reading. And the green shows you where we perform better than those. You can see 7th grade is like cooking with grease up there. And then 8th grade's not far off either, and 4th grade's doing pretty good too. So we're, those grade levels are doing very well in those comparisons. And then the next one is, okay. And so this is the math, same thing, meets or exceeds, HPA is the first column, and then the 7 Spartanburg districts. See, 7th grade is still doing very well. And then we have some other hot spots in there too.
But you see the 6th grade thing, both in science, math, and what was the previous one, reading?
Reading.
It's low on all of them.
Well,
Yeah, we pick up a lot of new middle schoolers in 6th grade.
this
Yeah,
was
but
last,
everybody does. I would think that everybody
I don't know that
does.
traditional districts do, I mean,
Not as
most-
much?
Not as much,
No,
they flow,
it's about 97% retention in a regular district. In charter schools, when I got here, it was 33%. Is it about 21% now, Greg?
So if we gave a few points for that, it surely doesn't
express all of
No, it's just, we've got to do a better job with the kids we have.
It seems like, I know in the past, the trend was the ones that we did receive were the ones that struggled at other schools, and they were leaving, coming here for whether it was behavior issues or just issues. So are a lot of the ones that we're getting in, they're already troubled academically, maybe behaviorally as well, when they get here, as opposed to they're coming in on level, good students.
That's part of it, Josh. But I don't think it's all of it. I think some of it, we got to do a better job.
But I was gonna say,
Some
I
of it's
think
what we
some of
get.
that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to overspeak.
Go ahead.
I think some of that also is that education has taken a swing. Like, we are being hit very, very hard by supporting parents and supporting caregivers and supporting trauma in a very different way than what we were doing even 5 years ago. And so when we look at the sixth grade average, we have dynamic sixth grade teachers. When we go into that and look at it that way, it's a matter of, we're looking at a group of kids that are starting puberty. We're looking at a group of kids that in the sixth grade, they're starting to be left at home a lot by themselves. We have a group of kids in our sixth grade group right now that are refusing to do homework. I have seen more zeros for homework or even assessments, like they just refuse to do it. So then it becomes a behavior or a disciplinary flip. So we as educators are having to kind of put our big girl pants on and say, or big boy pants on and say, we're gonna grab the bull by the horns. How can we remediate this and excel with it instead of us focusing on whether we're doing our job or whether we're not? What are we gonna do to get these kids motivated enough? Because I'm gonna tell you, if you have no zeros and you get donuts for no zeros, there's a principal in Columbia right now that did a big push for a party for kids that had no zeros. That man had more complaints the next day from parents whose children only had 1 or 2 zeros, and why could they not be recognized? So it's like beating my head against that pole right there in some cases.
Well, and you can see the other districts, 6th, 7th, and 8th, are their problem, or not problem, but those are their
That's a
struggle
six,
areas
yeah.
also.
Yeah.
We're struggling there too, but,
But then I also have the mentality that Matt has. We're not them.
right.
You know, where can we excel and where are we gonna push harder? And I think that that's where we have identified the students, identified our problem. And we wanna identify how we can increase those strategies to support them.
If you really want to understand the situation, comparing ourselves to the Spartanburg districts, generally, they're in the top 20% of the state average. So we're comparing ourselves to the better school districts in the state, and we're still right there with them, with our problems that we have. So we've got a lot of work to do, but we're not comparing ourselves against bad people. We're comparing ourselves against people who have traditionally had extremely good schools and good scores for 20, 30 years. But all that being said, we've got to do a better job.
So for both math and ELA, is there something special about this 7th grade class?
Just must be a-
You do have some high classes and some.
Yeah,
some
Which is
like-
our 4th grade.
like our
fifth-
current-
I
fifth grade.
anticipate that it will swing to our 8th grade year this year.
Because I feel like 6th grade was, like we were talking about 6th grade some last year like this.
Yeah.
So there's obviously something with this one class too.
Yeah. I will tell you, our 7th grade teachers are probably the most diverse. It is very male-heavy group of teachers. And I don't know, I think that a lot of their relationship building with the students, men build relationships different than women do. And so they're not quite as lackadaisical or they're not parenting the students. So I think that some of it is that. But I also do think that we're gonna see that green line shift to 8th grade next year, just because of the students that are there.
And just to give you a little perspective, we did have 80 new middle schoolers this year, and that's a lot, that's a high number.
80 out of
For all 3 grades?
300.
300, yeah,
What do you got, 325 right now?
at 325.
325, so 80 out of 325, so what, 25%? Right at 25%.
So that could be
That's
24.
something.
Something of significance.
But that, Tammy alluded to it, but we're using a good portion of our Title II money to we've hired an instructional coach to work with the principals on going in and doing classroom observations. So he goes in with them, observes, they debrief, they come up with a plan for what they're gonna do to work with the teacher and go back in and have those conversations. Because that's how you get better. You help your teachers become better educators. At the end of the day, education is very simple. You put a good teacher in the classroom, you get good results. It's our job as principals to go in and help the teachers improve.
A teacher could be good in 5 areas, but weak in 1 area. And so how do you help that teacher get stronger in 1 area? That doesn't mean they're a bad teacher, but you can't be strong in every area and be a teacher because there's just too many areas of growth for any teacher. So we could have a teacher that's great in 3 or 4 things and really need work in 1 thing. So we'll concentrate on that particular part of that teacher. All right, any more questions before we move along?
Let's move on. High school. Okay, so high school, they had an excellent rating, and they were excellent last year and excellent again this year, and they even went up a point, so that was excellent. We are very proud of that. Doing really, really good job at it. Let's see.
Praying for success on this one would be science.
It's the EOC scores for biology and
US history.
US history. And
So academic achievement is-
EOC for algebra and
Well, and let me say this about high school. In high school, your grade comes from your EOC scores in English, math, social studies, and biology, and your graduation rate.
And your WIN test, the college career rating.
So you're only looking at 6 or 7 teachers, and we have worked really hard with these teachers. And so when you're looking at the elementary scores, it's 30 teachers. And you're looking at the high school scores at 7, so we're able to drill down with 7 teachers a lot better than 30 teachers. So we've been excellent 2 years in a row now in high school because we've drilled down. And we're doing that with our other teachers, but it's a lot harder to do that with 30 teachers than it is with 6.
The multilingual, I'm assuming it's the same
Same
case, just a small sample.
School-wide, we have a very small population.
And I don't even think we're graded. They probably took some of the other things and made them more because we don't have enough to make a subgroup. You gotta have, what, 15 or 20 of a
20.
subgroup?
20.
Yeah, so we don't have a subgroup.
What's the primary non-English speaking? Is it Russian?
it's Russian.
I thought it would be.
Hispanic, secular, Russian is number 1.
Ukrainian.
Russian, Ukrainian is number 1. What is that, 10 to 11% of our student body?
Yeah, and the other tricky part of it is based on a survey they fill out when they first come, and a lot of those families will not actually mark that that is the primary language in their home. So it's probably a little underrepresented on the report card. They'll mark English as the primary language, even though we know good and well that it's not. And once they mark it, you are stuck with it.
So could that be a factor in hurting your scores if they're not accounted for as having another language, they're getting graded or?
Well,
Yeah, because what is happening is the ones that should qualify that are pretty proficient with English that would probably pull that up are not identifying themselves in that subgroup. So you're only getting stuck with your lowest ones, and it's a small number. And we've got about 100 kids per grade level, so one of the things I always remind everybody is 1 kid is 1%. In a lot of districts, 1% is a lot of kids. So you start looking at your MLL students, and it might be 5 kids, so 1 kid is 20%. They come in and they have a bad day and don't do well on the progress piece of it, and you just don't get those points. And if I'm correct, that comes from the access testing, which again is not tied to a class, it's not tied to a grade. So, and especially by high school, they're tired of taking it. They've learned enough English to get by in their classes. They're still doing well on EOCs, and it's one more test they have to take that doesn't really count for anything. They just don't give it their best effort.
Okay. All right, so then this is our English and our algebra and how we compared in the district of the state. And you can see we're a little above the state in English 2, right on par with the district. And then in Algebra 1, we're definitely higher than the district in the state. And our algebra, as we've said every year, has continued to steadily grow every year and is doing, coming from like single digits when we first started to
But
68.
that's working with one or two teachers that
Yes.
just teach that, which
So
we're able to
that's-
really hone down on those teachers, and it's come faster than it has with the other groups.
It's really come along. And we continue to be competitive in English. All right, and the next one?
What is Algebra 1, that's, is that 7th graders now or 8th graders?
Now it's seventh graders now.
So we are doing geometry 7th and 8th grade honors so that when they go to high school for 8th grade, they'll be in Algebra 1. Our 7th graders this year that are taking geometry will take Algebra 1 in 8th grade.
Okay.
The state
And
switched
next
everything.
year, it will flow that pace.
We had to switch because in the course tests are based on those, so we didn't have a choice but to switch.
Right.
Or have bad test scores.
Yeah.
All right, and then, so this is the comparison against Spartanburg County 7 districts. And remember with the EOC, passing has to be a C or higher. Unlike, like you think about your report card is a D, but for the EOC purposes, it has to be a C or higher. And that's the percentage of our students in the left that, on those 4 EOCs. And then you can see the green, we're still pretty competitive when it comes to EOCs across between Spartanburg counties. So doing very well. Algebra 1 and US history showed a lot of improvement as well. So they're doing really well.
Well, and we've had a teacher now for 2 or 3 years, and she's getting better every year. And we're really pleased where we're at, where we're heading with that.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Okay.
Gray, you up next?
You're
I think
up.
so, what's the next
Hey,
one?
Boiling Springs is District 2, is that right?
Well, Springs and Chesney.
Yes.
People forget about Chesney.
It's easy to do.
So Dr. Cox put this report together for us. So the orange line on the left is our 3-year report card average, and then the blue bars below it are the other districts. So for high school, we have the highest 3-year average for high schools in the county. Then if you look at the right, the green bar is how much we spend per student, and the orange bar is how much the other high schools are spending per student. So we are having a very high report card score while spending far less than other districts.
Send that to the legislature.
I have sent that to Chris Neely today, and I told him when he meets with the governor's people this week to share these slides with them. Our average on our scores, we are educating at a higher level for half the money.
So imagine if they gave us 50% more money.
35%. I mean, 35%
Or at least keep
more
it the same
money
and don't take it away.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
say
yeah,
you're
yes.
But this is high school. Go to the next one.
Yeah, so middle school is, again, I know math scores are where they are, whatever. What's really neat, if you look at the 3-year average, only Florence Chapel Middle School is beating us on a 3-year average. If you're not familiar with Florence Chapel, that's in Spartanburg District 5, and it is it made me feel old the other day because they're going to do a 4th middle school in District 5. When I was there was only 2. There was Florence Chapel and DR Hill, and Florence Chapel was the more affluent side of the district. So they traditionally do perform a little better.
Their poverty rate is nowhere near ours.
Yeah. But yeah, so still, even with an average rating on the report card over 3 years, we're still one of the highest rated middle schools in Spartanburg County. Second. And then again, looking at the expenditures, we are far less than all the other districts.
We
Again,
should
even
have
if you look at
put
Florence Chapel.
them in the same order underneath. Because they're not, are they?
Yeah, I think they're ranked by highest to lowest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Florence Chapel is still there at one of the, it's still one of the top funded middle schools that is beating
I
us.
see.
I thought y'all would like to see this slide. When Mr. Cox came to me with this idea, I thought it was a really good idea to do this. And I think it really shows where we are compared to what we get funded.
The doctor will get you, right? Right, Dr. Cox?
Yes, sir.
This is what he does. He loves to do stupid stuff.
And Dr. Cox, did you pull the per pupil expenditures off the report cards?
No, I pulled it off of the state report, that Mr. Sherman gave me for a fund.
Okay. Yeah, because one of the things we talked about with that state report is I still don't know that it includes all the debt service that they're allowed to borrow.
It does not, nor does it include bonds that are passed by the public because they're self-imposed tax, nor does it include the 8% of the value that they can borrow against. So if the district's worth $100 million,
So you start factoring those kind of things in, and it's even larger different on expenditures.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and then elementary, we're on the lower end, but not far. Actually, if you look at the point value, if we get those 3 points like we anticipate going up, and that would put us at 53, all of a sudden we would be right in the middle, but still far less per pupil spending. The other thing to keep in mind with elementary schools is elementary schools, more than any other level, is very neighborhood driven. So what I mean by that is, you take Pine Street Elementary. I think the last time I looked at their report card, 33% of their kids were state identified GT. Coming from a very affluent neighborhood. And you just, you run into that with elementary schools and traditional zoning. There's a large discrepancy in what those schools are, the raw material those schools are given. Whereas our elementary, they come from all over the county. So we have a very solid mix. But again, if we continue to make the improvements that we've been making, it won't take long before we're, up there at the top with them.
Could you back it up one slide? I think there's a typo on the top of the right slide there. Just correct that before we send it out, since we are an educational institution. Does it say Mondays instead of Monies
It does.
in the heading? I just want to,
That's kind of blurry.
no, I'm not criticizing anybody, just before we send it out to too many people. I just didn't want us to have it.
I can't even see it there.
Yeah, we're gonna blame the resolution on the. Yeah, so overall, we were just, we were very pleased to see that we,
This looks
we
great.
ranked very well for the amount of money that we were given per pupil.
Based on our conversation about money last month, I thought the board would appreciate
You
it.
say you sent this to Chris?
Yes, to Chris.
Good.
And I told him when he talks to the governor's people, these are slides he needs to show them. Hopefully that takes place this week. is what I'm telling you. And that concludes my exciting exhilarating report.
Very much.
Public comments today?
I did not sign up to make a comment, but may I ask the board's permission to make one? James Conlon.
Mr. Conley, please abide to the rules of public speaking.
Okay,
No, I don't have to read through all that.
that's fine.
I'll put a timer on for you.
I have not planned to make any comments, but it's
Maybe you should sign up every month. Just
That's
be sure.
effectively what happens. But listening to all this discussion about testing and so on, and I realized the tests don't bear a solid attachment to reality as to what's going on in this school. So it's like, I looked at that, and then you had the charts about, at the very end there about how the funding versus what your grades versus the other schools. And then there's not a lot of attachment to reality there. And I was listening to you talk about all of the standards. Oh, they change every 5 years. What I come to is Alice in Wonderland and the Dodo's Race. And really what's happened here is they've created a situation where there's no way to win. And I'm not sure how you deal with that. Because the reality I see in this school, having 2 grandkids here, essentially has nothing to do with the test results at all. Nothing. And what I see is the great concern about, well, you're not measuring up on the testing. But is measuring up on the testing the most important thing?
Yes.
That, yeah, it is, because the testing brings money.
If you can't beat people at their own game,
Well,
then you really can't teach your own horn.
well, that's kind of what I'm coming to. You know, you're displaying high level of excellence in the high school. And what's interesting, the level of excellence in the middle school is lower, and it's even lower still in the elementary school. And I wonder, does that come simply with the maturity of the students at the time? Plus, you're getting a constant infusion of students who are in some ways, what's the word I want to use? Because I don't want to be thrown off on the students. Pardon?
Diluting?
Well, they're disadvantaged in some fashion. I mean, my grandson, Drake, came here because he was not being served in the public schools at all. I think the way I look at the schools, well, you know, they're kind of below average for the elementary school. But what I see happening really is you're putting people in at the elementary and middle school level, and you are teaching them, and as Ms. Goodlett said, you're caring for them and you're raising them, and you're seeing the fruits in high school. And I kind of see that happening. Now, those are all good things, but the state is quite blind to that. Wound up having a talk a week or so ago with Principal Hamrick concerning my son Drake, or grandson Drake. And we had a good discussion, and we realized that the issue in question rested solidly with Drake, not with the school.
About 1 more minute, sir.
Okay. Well, we got talking about the whole issue of grading and zeros and so on. And he said a lot of schools will have a base score of 50. And what they're doing is they're playing a statistical game to move the bell curve. So therefore, you wind up destroying the concept of excellence and destroying and removing any sense of negative consequence for the excellence. You know, one of you mentioned about the principal who gave out donuts for kids who didn't get a zero. So the parents whined to him, my kid only had 2 zeros. Well, that's the standard. And the question is, how do we get that across to our state legislators? And how do we think about altering the system so it actually serves the schools rather than the schools serve the system? And that's not just here, that's in all the schools.
Part of it is that the accountability system actually comes down from the federal government, and the state has to work within that framework. So I think they would change some of it if they were able.
This goes back to the No Child Left Behind.
Yes.
Which was actually a statistical shell game.
They changed that to student success something several years later.
I think it's
Elementary and secondary student achievement.
ESSA or something like that.
ESSA.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. We value your feedback every time. It's very helpful.
Well, I run out of stuff to say tonight, I'll pick up some more stuff later.
We are moving into executive session.
I'll make a motion.